There's more to come, baby. There's more to come. Now, usually, this is the...
No, this is Saturday. It's an international week. There's not a lot going on.
Exactly. That's why we're mixing things up. This is usually the part of the show where...
When we finish, we say goodbye.
I would toss to the end and we'd kick off extra time. But we want to do something a little bit different today. We wanted to take questions from, not the viewers, but something that I know, Craig, you will very much love. Oh. Our own production crew.
We haven't got
has questions. Yes, we do.
I've got loads of
behind
questions
the camera right now.
I've got loads of questions for our production crew.
I bet you do.
Usually it surrounds graphics.
Okay, just steady.
Find the questions.
Find the questions, Seb. Find the questions. Here they are. All right, these are from the production staff. The first one coming from Ale. I don't think that's Ale Moreno. Harry Kane and Erling Haaland each have exactly 48 goals and 11 assists in 2023 across all competitions. Who has had the better year? Craig?
In 2023?
In 2023.
Well, it's easy, isn't it? It's the guy that won the Premier League and the Champions League.
Okay.
No?
Yeah.
He's not going to the Euros, though.
Well, he's probably going to the Maldives or...
Neither of them are going to the Euros in 2023, I'm sure.
Or I can recommend the Seychelles, you know.
Shaka, you agree?
Yeah. Yeah.
Gab, you agree?
I'm actually going to go Kane for the simple reason that, look, I mean, we're talking about phenomenal players and whatnot, but Harry Kane can't control the team that he's on. And when he was on a worse team last year, they didn't go and they didn't win the Champions League, funny enough, or the Premier League. I think Erling Haaland's had some dry spells. He wasn't necessarily the protagonist you expected him to be in the Champions League final. So, you know, we really are splitting hairs here, but I would argue that Harry Kane is much closer to his ceiling, put it that way, in 2023 than Erling Haaland is. I think there's a lot more to come from Erling Haaland.
Don, last vote to you. Haaland or Kane for 2023?
But that's a shock. Gab going a little bit left field. It's Haaland, man. He's just off the back of a treble.
Come on, yes, Gab. Of course it's good. By the way,
come on.
Let's pick on Gab.
Hey, Calvin Phillips won a treble too. Why don't you say? Why don't you ask me?
He's
what's
not
the
on the
better
list.
Year?
He's not on the
Yeah,
list.
exactly. Otherwise, it'd be Calvin Phillips.
I've got a question for you. Is this actually extra time?
This is in lieu of extra time. Yes, don't worry.
What? Is extra time happening tonight?
No.
Oh.
This is in lieu of extra time.
Because the sting never came in. Oh, carry on then.
There you go. I like this one. Which player that you played with had the most unrealized potential? That question is from Vitor. The other one was not from Ale Moreno, it was from Ale Berry, a key part of our research team. So player with
Unrealized?
Unrealized potential, yeah.
I'm going to tell you one.
Ooh.
And he did realise his potential to an extent late in his career at Celtic. But Lubomir Moravcik was, I believe, when Joseph Venglos, his countryman, signed him for Celtic when I was there, was playing at the time in the German second division for Duisburg, for some reason. This guy had as much talent as any player I ever played with. You couldn't tell if he was right-footed, left-footed, scored unbelievable goals, could see passes, and Celtic fans to this day absolutely love him. Could have played anywhere, in any league, in any country, and had success, which makes me wonder why he was where he was until so late in his career.
It's a good one. Shaka?
There are a few that come to mind. Yossi Benayoun at West Ham, who I thought was the best passes of football I'd seen. I think Joe Cole at West Ham was simply outstanding, but then going to the more structured Chelsea just didn't serve him well. And in Trinidad and Tobago terms, I played with a young man called Arnold Dworica, who was every bit as talented as or not every bit, but close enough to a Russell Latipi or just outside of Dwight York's level, but just never seemed to hit the heights that they did.
Don, unrealized potential. Who stands out from your career?
Tricky one. I'll go back to my early days at West Ham in the 94-95 season, and I played with two lads. One was John Moncur, who was brilliant, but another lad, I think he's living out in the US now, Ian Bishop.
Yep.
And I wouldn't say unrealised potential, but if he was playing today, he'd be easy over 100 million quid. Left foot, right foot, talented, easy on the ball, never panicked, silky player. Yeah, I'd say Bish.
Next question comes from Gigi. Thoughts on Emma Hayes coaching the U.S. women's national team? Anybody who's watched Football Americas knows I'm thrilled about it. Gab, what are they saying over in England about the Chelsea manager leaving for the U.S. job?
Well, it's funny. There was a big story over here in one of the papers about how one of the two co-sporting directors at Chelsea was kind of given a rap on the knuckles for letting Emma Hayes slip away. He was supposed to renegotiate her contract, and then he didn't do it quickly enough or whatever. Couldn't reach a deal, and of course now she's gone. I don't buy any of that. I think, she'd been at Chelsea for 10 years. She's won just about everything except for the Champions League, and they'll have a go at that this year. Although they'll need some better officiating than they got against Real Madrid in midweek. But I think this is a woman who's making a lifestyle choice and says, I want to go and win the World Cup. I want to test myself. Been there, done that in the Women's Super League. Time to move on. But I've had the privilege of spending a little bit of time with her. I just think she's just one of the brightest people, I think, managing in football.
What's your thoughts on it, Mr. Pessimistic?
I love it. I said before they hired her that she was the best candidate, period, anywhere in the world for the job. So home run, smash hit for U.S. soccer, which is rarely said and definitely for
So did you just take credit for Emma Hayes' hiring?
She did work at ESPN shortly before being hired by U.S. Soccer, which makes me think, who was the last general manager of the women's national team? Oh, that was Kate Markgraf, who was hired after working at ESPN. Who was the last general manager of the men's team? Oh, that was Brian McBride, hired after working at ESPN. We're the academy, basically, for U.S. Soccer. You're welcome.
So you're saying I'm going to get hired?
Well, that's another
what you're trying to say?
You're a gem buried deep in our academy.
I mean, I could go in there and sort it all out in a heartbeat.
I mean, I'm sure you could help. All right.
You're very confident about that because you really gave off some sound bites there.
Yeah, no, I really can't do better. You could not have done better. What is your favorite moment in studio during your ESPN career?
Putting a box over my head.
When was that? What was the cause of it?
Long time ago.
Still in England.
Tommy Smith used to do his top 25, but Shaka only does 10 because he's lazy. Tommy, proper broadcaster, 25, bosh. All right, 15 of them were garbage. There we go. And Pete, who's producing tonight, was shouting at me. I was in London, and the old Hammersmith. No, it was the IMG Glow Point at Chiswick, which I'm sure Gab's been in as well at some point.
That's the facility that you guys were at, yeah.
It was basically a broom cupboard, and I'm in there, and Tommy's doing his top 20, and 25, and 24, and 20. I'm thinking, I've never even heard of these teams. When is this going to end, right? I just want paid and going home. I've got 2 hours to drive up, right? And Pete's shouting in my ear, react to Tommy's top 25, and I'm like, react. So I'm looking around the room, right, and sees this box with tapes, and I just emptied it, and I just put it on my head, and guess what? It got me the gig.
There you go.
You don't have to do much here to get the gig. Put a box in your head. Before you know it, you're in the studio.
How lucky are we, Shaka?
Oh.
Do you remember that?
I was on the show for that. Yes, I do remember that very well.
Sign them. That's what they said.
Right.
Sign them.
Sign that There's the box they were talking about.
Yeah, they got me. Somebody was at JFK looking for a guy coming out with a box in his head, and I walked up.
All right, so that one was from Isabel. Mamadou provides our next question. If you had... Oh, hold on.
Oh,
Producer Pete wants everybody's take. Shaka, what's your favorite moment? You always get the cakes. You always get the best birthday.
I got good cakes.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed being here when Trinidad and Tobago beat US.
Oh, yes.
you rubbed it in.
Oh, I did.
Were you on night of?
Yes.
Because I think I was on the next day, because I flew back. I was in Trinidad for the game, and you were definitely on the next day.
I think I was on
night of?
I was on
both.
Yeah, both, because you remember it was the rain and all the shenanigans with that, which just drove me mad.
Yeah, so basically the day before, for those that don't remember, there was water on the field where everybody was training, where they were going to play the game, and images came out from the U.S. Soccer account of the players kind of having a laugh at it, being carried over the water. Oh, the field's a disaster. And you and a lot of people, actually, to be fair, in Trinidad and Tobago, didn't take well to that.
No, I didn't.
I don't know if that was the motivation, but...
Because shock horror, it rained during rainy season in Trinidad and Tobago, and that seemed to catch everybody by surprise. I'm not really sure why, and everything about it, the pre-game press conference and everything with Bruce Arena. It was just everything about it. I thought was just demeaning. And so when we won and you don't qualify, I was thrilled.
Thrilled you were. All right, Gab, what about you? You've been on the show for a long time. What's your favorite ESPN FC memory?
Well, other than would be a losing memory is the fact that discovering that Stuart Robson, when we had our race in Madrid, our rowing race, that Robbo, for all his 3 ergs at home and everything, actually lost to Steve Nicol, and obviously I was in Robbo's boat. He had the somewhat more petite Dan Thomas in with him, but still, it's Robbo against Stevie. And I just, his expression afterwards, he just could not believe it. I think he was so angry that he went back to the hotel and erred for 3 hours straight after that. And I think to this day he wants a rematch.
Robbo. It doesn't surprise me Robbo's competitive.
He never got a hard enough time for that, really. Been losing to Nicol on our own.
Yeah.
But Stevie would tell you he was like a master of the rowing machine back in the day, wasn't he? That was his big.
Yeah, but he wouldn't know what a rowing machine looked like.
Don, you've had some great moments here on ESPN FC.
Yeah, Gabs, I don't think will be topped. I find that funny every single time I see that clip. It's amazing. Doing some keep-me-ups to Craig in the studio, but I think one comes to mind where I've had like 1,000,001 internet problems over the years, and I can't remember who was hosting the night. And I said, right, I've just spent £1,000. The guy's being round. He's got wires everywhere. I've got internet connection. I've got it in the garage. It's a different part of the house. And then I can't remember who was hosting. They went, well, how's it tonight? And literally, as he said that, it went down. And everyone around the world was tweeting me saying, oh, it's a wind-up. It's a great one. It wasn't a wind-up. It was genuine. So it was like, you couldn't have timed it any better.
It was Dan Thomas that was the host that day, I'm told by the producer. Ooh, a different type of question here from Mamadou.
Very serious.
If you had to pick one player to mentor, who would it be?
Player to mentor?
Don, you strike me as the mentor type. Who would you mentor?
Jadon Sancho.
Oh, good shot.
I think I'd get in his ear, and I think I'd have a word with him, and I'd put an arm around him, and I'd tell him to go and apologise to the boss, because there's a brilliant young player in there, and I hate seeing youngsters struggle. I hate it because, we've all had off-the-field problems. When you're young, you think you know everything. I was there myself when I was at Liverpool, and I was just a normal lad, come from a normal place in the northeast, and you're playing for a gigantic football club, but I was still trying to live my lifestyle in that culture where you were, playing hard but going out hard at the same time and partying a little bit too much. So I think I'd put an arm around Jadon Sancho, give him a little cuddle, tell him he's a great player, because he is, and to just bury whatever problems he's got, because not playing is the worst thing. And I can only imagine, because of my past experiences, I'm pretty sure the lads might agree as well, when you're not playing, it hurts you even more. So every day he's not playing and every day he's not training with the first team, he's actually going to feel worse about himself, and it's just going to deteriorate all the time. So, yeah, Jadon.
Well, he could do something about it, couldn't he, really? To be honest.
I don't know. It feels like he's kind of buried. Like Ten Hag's kind of buried him.
Well, he's burying himself as well, isn't he?
He dug the hole. He dug the hole on 10.
I'll tell you who I'd like to mentor.
Why am I laughing before the answer?
Oh, I'm being serious.
Yeah.
Jude Bellingham.
And what would you tell Jude Bellingham?
What?
This is the easiest, because I'm a highly paid mentor,
Yeah.
right? And this is the easiest job in the world, right? I just go up in the morning, just tell him he's very good, and then I go down the pub for the rest of the day.
Keep doing what you're doing, mate.
I mean, it's the best, greatest job in the world, isn't it? Every morning, just go in and go, oh, God, you're the best. Straight to the golf, down the pub.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
What a mentor,
What a job.
Shaka. What a mentor, huh?
That's all he needs. That's all he needs. Listen, I've got a PhD in this.
Yeah, yeah.
In the pub. I've got a PhD.
Which part of
I'm
that?
going to the pub.
PhD and going down the pub, yeah.
Yeah, who would you mentor?
God.
Wise ways.
It's a good question. I mean, I think somebody who I've given him a shout out before, but I'm just fascinated by him. I have never met this guy, but I'm excited by him because he's just down the road from you guys in Norwalk, Connecticut, and it's Luca Kolyosho. And the reason I would mentor this guy, is that he's one of those guys who's eligible for the U.S., for Canada, for Nigeria, for Italy, even though he grew up in Spain. And you know what? He chose Italy, so he made the wise choice. I find him a really exciting player. And sorry, it's a boring answer, but yeah, I enjoy watching this guy play.
That is not a boring answer. A lot of American fans were very excited to hear Luca Kolyosho.
Good player.
Yeah, he is a good player. And Greg Berhalter has talked about him in a couple of recent interviews, and he's not said like he's coming to play for the United States, but I think you would describe Berhalter's comments as cautiously optimistic. So could be landing another big player there in the recruiting board.
I tell you what, I'll sleep tonight.
Shaka, who would you like to mentor? What's that?
5 things that people didn't need to know, and that was straight in, number 1 in the charts.
Okay.
Right. Now, Gab gave you the reason why, and you went down some sort of US Greg Berhalter spiel that I really did, and it really ate into my.
Greg does not want to mentor Luca Kolyosho.
I told you I'm mentoring Jude Bellingham.
Yes. Shaka.
The only name that comes to mind, and probably missed out at this point, I think Zach Steffen is, I thought, one of the most talented goalkeepers that the US has produced, and I thought the City move and everything that happened as a result kind of took away from what I thought would have been an outstanding career for him.
Could be a path back now that Matt Schindler's on the bench. So maybe there's he's very young.
Ready to mentor him? Is that
no, pass back where? It could be a
path back.
To where?
Path back to the starting job for the US.
Oh, for God's sake, he's turned it round to the US again.
What other world is Zach Steffen relevant?
Help
is this a Middlesbrough show? I mean,
right, I've always keep a little red tablet in my pocket for moments like this. I'm getting it out.
There it is.
Just keep it.
If you didn't like that question, you're not going to like the last one. From Jack. Seb, what was your worst ever bad beat in soccer betting? I guess as the folks in production know, I like to
bad beat.
To wager a little bit.
Can't do that now.
You can do it less.
Rules, regulations.
There are rules.
Laws,
there are regulations. So we don't need to get too far into them.
I just don't do it.
Don, apparently you don't know what a bad beat is. It's when you're close to a win on your bet, but then it kind of all falls apart.
I see.
Yeah. I had a really good parlay that hit today. A big 3-leg parlay.
Go on. Didn't involve. Tell me it didn't involve. Go on, just tell me.
So we had Latvia plus 3.5 goals against Croatia. They went down 2-0 in the first 15 minutes. I was worried, but it was okay. They got the job done. I think the game ended 2-0.
All right.
We had over 1.5 goals in the Wales game. Wales was playing Armenia, and that one finished 1-1. Disappointing result for Wales, but got over the 1.5 goals for your boy. Okay. And then we also had the over 1.5 in Switzerland, Kosovo. And you smash all those together, and it was a nice little parlay payout on this Saturday for Seb.
That's not a bad beat.
That was a good beat.
That's a good beat.
I've had some bad beats. I had one during the Gold Cup where I had like a really high under. So I had under like 4.5, and it was 1-0 with like 10 minutes to go, and there was, now you have so much added time. Right. So there was like 4 goals in the last 13 minutes. And I went over.
God, I tell you what, I'd love to sit at a bar with you.
It's like that guy in America that always wants to talk about his fantasy football team.
You know, if you popped up at the bar, you'd be like that, wouldn't you? You're like, I bet people do that.
You know, the only person.
I bet people do that to you.
The only person on this show, in the studio, I should say, not on this show, because Don and I have hung out. The only person in the studio that's ever actually sat next to me at a bar, you know who it is?
Who?
Craig Burley. He's all talk, dude. He is all talk.
And who paid for it?
Craig Burley. And who paid for my ride home that night?
Who paid for your ribber?
Craig Burley.
Who paid for your drinks?
Who
paid for your food?
I pulled the old, forgot my wallet, phone died. The old double whammy. What a moment that was.
Listen, you pull up at any random bar in Connecticut, chances are you're going to be next to Craig.
I mean,
those are your words.
It's not a difficult find.
No. All right, that'll do it for this edition
I tell you what,
of ESPN FC. Thanks to Gab,
Bellingham's
John,
mentor.
Shaka and Craig, and we'll see you on Sunday for the next edition of the show. Be sure to join us.